We've been talking about brain injury in football for years now. This is a huge topic. It's the subject of the new movie Concussion with Dr. Bennett Omalu, played by Will Smith. CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy, has been studied mostly in older people because you need the person to be dead in order to look at their brain tissue in the detail necessary to diagnose CTE, these persistent brain injuries. So most of the people who have been diagnosed of it have been diagnosed posthumously somewhere between 45 and 80 years of age. However, we now know about a 25-year-old college football player who sustained more than 10 concussions during the 16 years that they played football at some level, starting from little kid football. That brain has been examined and evidence of CTE has been found. But it is even worse than that. The authors of a report published this week in the journal JAMA Neurology also note that the brains of athletes as young as 17 have shown focal lesions that suggest CTE, but they wrote widespread CTE pathology is unusual in such a young football player. This particular 17-year-old football player had some other issues going on that may be sort of confounding factors here, but the report is very clear in that these injuries are developing far sooner and at far younger ages than previously thought, Lewis. And we've talked many times about this issue. If you accidentally had a kid and you loved your kid and your kid wanted to play football, do you let them play football? And we often hear from parents that, okay, I'll let them sort of get it out of their system at a young age. They probably will never be good enough, statistically speaking, to really go that far. The damage can start quite early.
Yeah, and I think I would let my kid play football, Dave, if they were a kicker or a quarterback. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I really wouldn't want my kid playing any other position. It's too dangerous, and you may go your entire football career without a concussion.
Sure.
It might not matter. All of those little hits add up. It's all cumulative. Yeah, people as young as 17, Dave, that's scary.
And the 17-year-old who had been playing football since something like age 8 had their first concussion. They actually had a concussion, which, as Lewis says, just because you haven't had concussions doesn't mean you won't be the victim of CTE. It is a response that happens to the cumulative effect of hit after hit after hit, even if the individual hits are all subconcussive. I'm curious to see what the future holds for the NFL and for football in general. Parents are going to be increasingly apprehensive about letting their kids play football. How would a responsible, loving parent knowingly subject their child to something that now we have so much research? It shows that there are terrible consequences, including early death, including essential disablement. I mean, it is absolutely horrible. How can parents allow their kids to play?
Great question. I think we're already seeing kind of a PR campaign from the NFL and maybe other organizations trying to make football seem safer, family-oriented.
And they'll say,
fun.
we have the safest equipment, we have the new policies, it's the safest policy ever. And all of that may be true, but it still would not prevent the cumulative effect of the subconcussive hits. And before you get to the NFL, they don't have all of those same policies and all of the same equipment. So think about the damage that accumulates before you even make it to the NFL, which of course most people never will.
Right. It's a very small number of people. But if your kid went up to you and said, I want to play football, I love football, I want to play, but it's still your decision, what do you say?
I think I say no. I mean, I don't know how, as a parent of a kid, and I'm not a parent, I don't know how I say, sure, let's get you the pads and let's get you the helmet and let's go at it. I do not know how I'll allow my kid to do that. If my 8-year-old says I want to start playing football, I just don't see it.
All right. I don't know what I would say, but I think I'm leaning in that direction.